Yes, everyone, welcome back to the Wind Down. It's our latest segment on Breakdown Slowdown, and it's exclusively on YouTube. This week, we have another special guest. We're welcoming back the wonderful, the entrepreneur, the hustler, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Element. So we're going to talk to him in a second.
What's good? Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, we're so glad to have you on here today on this second segment of the Wind Down. Today's conversation, you know what? I think you're the perfect person for this conversation because you have your like in-depth knowledge of the industry. And I'm sure that you've maybe heard people say this before. So for those watching at home, we're discussing today playing the game in the industry. Whether it's playing the game to get accolades, whether it's playing the game to get streaming numbers or, to chart, there seems to be a certain game that you have to play that is pretty much intertwined with capitalism if we're being honest here. So do you think that that is something that crosses the mind of many artists or entertainers?
Well, I think most entertainers probably have to understand that to come together to do anything, they have to sort of abide by a game of sorts. You know what I mean? There's like rules to the game, and that usually those limitations are set by like predecessors that were like alerting each other about what's going on in the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like things that were like the limitations, basically, usually, and how it would work within them. So I think that within that, you realize that there's more room for construction, and that there's always going to be like the unionized version of what people are going to tell you, which is like necessary, in my opinion, and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be usually representing the people and what they want changed within the industry. And then there's the other side of it that are like the facilitators. And usually it just so happens that people choose these roles to play, like management roles within the entertainment industry, that can like dictate those changes better than artists can sometimes.
Hmm.
While artists can only put their like creative leverage on the
Mm-hmm.
table, they actually put
Right.
on strategy roles to deploy. And because we put so much faith into that system, that over a while, I feel like we get used to it,
Mm.
and it becomes a game. You know what I mean? That's like my kind of 2 cents on it. Like it becomes the game we made. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right. Well, I
Like,
kind of have a question then based on what you just said because you mentioned there's like these unwritten quote unquote rules, right? And just like for example, like there's an unwritten rule that when you go over to somebody's house for dinner or something, you bring something. Like nobody really
right.
tells you, but you usually show up with something, to contribute.
Yeah, they're like the unspoken rules, right? It
Right.
just, I think it's for people to not have to have like put their foot on this like proverbial tripwire
Mm-hmm.
every single time they meet somebody that they have not introduced themselves to,
Hmm.
especially on industry terms, because we know there's so much hot air in conversation, and we can't even blame people. It's just the game we we play, like, you know what I mean? And that through it we've kind of like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you can keep on
what
what
I
you were
kind of
saying.
meant to say was like, I think that those unspoken moments are people that have gone through industry things themselves and realize that there's no time for that, and that we kind of feed off more than that to understand a situation or a particular situation when we're in the industry. So I think that a lot of things are unwritten. The flags, the kind of like the lingos, like a lot of
Hmm.
things in the industry are unwritten. And when you meet new producers, like I talk to new producers across the world, like for example today, and there's this unspokenness about how to move when you're in a certain particular part of the game. You know? Yeah.
But I have a question for you. Is it worth it to play the game?
Right. That's a good question.
Because the way that I see it, I always say that like, yo, dopeness speak for itself. So especially in the era that we're in right now, it's not like back in the days that okay, you need to go to New York to go to the Interscope offices or
You go to
whatever.
LA or you know.
Yeah, now it's like we talked about that before. I think on the episode you were in actually, like you one click away. So basically, right now, all you have to do is you can even like get your iPhone, you shoot a quick video, you spitting bars and shit, and people will gravitate to it. And then if you have a good team around you, basically a lot of people they have a little team that is started when they starting from scratch or whatever. So now it's to a point that okay, I'm reaching that level of success. I'm getting recognized, and a lot of people want to work for me. So I kind of have a leverage.
But how
So
far will that take you? I wonder. I wonder Element's answer.
yeah,
Like necessary.
Yeah, it's a great question because it made me right away think about what era you're asking it in,
yeah.
and it matters a lot. Like you said, like in this era, you have more headroom, like you got more room to like grow. Is
Hmm.
there a glass ceiling? Probably if you're trying to play a particular role in the entertainment industry, like because there's like certain aspects of the industry I feel like that are more contained than others, like
Mhm.
licensing, for example,
Right.
because you have to go through like a department and a supervisor at a department for a really big brand usually, and those are tough things. Those are relationship based. So I think that at one point in time when you meet someone, you're no longer just playing the game. You know what I mean? I would hope not. Like that's my thing on it. Where if the lingo was like to explain it all, would be like playing the game,
Hmm.
but then the particular thing that like the events you go through are going to be very human and and personal. I feel if you're going to make any sort of success, because you have to build an engine and you need counterparts. So those are people in the game. Those are people that also benefit off of you as
Exactly.
well.
Exactly.
You
But the
know, it's
thing is,
like synergy.
the thing that's interesting is, I mean, you as label owner, producer, artist yourself, I'm sure there's in the different realms that you inhabit, there has to be like a different set of rules for each. I would assume, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like
for
for
sure.
like we've seen examples in the industry. Like we've seen people who chose not to play the game, right? We've seen Monique decide not to do it after winning the Oscar for Precious, and we've seen Carrie Hilson decide to. I mean, maybe I would like to take the example of Carrie Hilson because if a lot of people don't know, but some people do know that her career kind of took like a big tank after she released a diss song in 2008 or 2009 about Beyonce, where she kind of alluded that she was getting older and she should sit down and have some babies, etc. She needs to move it to the left. It was kind of clear who she was speaking about. And after that, she was kind of like blackballed. Many producers wouldn't touch her. Um, Nobody wants to work with her, which I found was interesting because she's a very talented singer songwriter um, that wrote hits for a lot of people. But saying one thing about a very powerful person in the industry kind of shifted her whole
You don't play with Bay.
But the thing,
You don't
but
play with Bay. That's it.
the thing with it is that in Carrie Hilson's case, she just shoot herself in the foot. So I wouldn't talk about that case that much. It's
But that's not
different.
playing that. But
I
she's not
mean,
playing the game because playing the game would have been
What
recently
respecting the
it's
people who
had
came before you,
Nicki
not saying
Minaj
anything bad
too.
about them.
yeah, but what's the
You guys
point?
hear me?
Like in Carrie Hilson's case, what's the point of doing a track like that? Like it was, I
Oh,
feel
what's
like
the point of her doing that?
yeah, like she digging
Yo,
her own grave.
yo,
That's
you
how I
guys
feel
hear me?
about it. But as far as it goes for Monique, I think like there's a purpose behind why she's doing that. There's a difference between her and Carrie Hilson.
Well, it's the
So
choice between your bag and
yeah,
your morals. It's
yeah,
like
Well, look, dude, I feel like Carrie and like kind of Nikki shot themselves in the foot
what did
because
Nikki do? Oh,
they got ousted. They got ousted. You know
little
what I
Kim.
mean? Like the industry ousted them. Like, yo, they'll leave them off posters. They'll leave them off. Like, it is a really small industry if you're talking about the media, American media game. That's
Right.
what really most people are talking about when they're talking about industry. Take
Right.
away that, and it's like distribution. Everyone ends up on Spotify. Everyone ends up on everything. I don't think that Spotify's trying to go away from even like having to rely on these guys trying to just like take them to dinners and trying to get up the charts with the like who has more chart presence and blah blah blah. You can see that it's moving away from it. I personally feel like that industry itself is very catty, and you
Mm.
got to be careful about it because everybody knows everybody. And when you're talking about it, you're talking about the media conglomeracy in America. That's what it is. It's you want them on your side. They're all plugged into through Viacom and the same two players in the game. So yeah, if you offend somebody like Bay, yeah, bro, like they're all gonna oust you. Like
So basically, you cannot win basically without playing the game, without at least playing some aspect of the game. You
yeah,
can't
of
come
course
in all
you
guns blazing.
can. You can,
Well,
but you
you
got to know how to
can.
scale your
You can't.
growth.
Okay.
You got to know how to scale your growth. You only need 1,000 people to be like to make $100,000.
Okay.
If you know how to monetize by hitting small pockets around the world and
Mhm.
That's true.
getting merch done and getting things around, it's just a matter of time. And it's all I say. It's just a matter of time.
I guess
Uh,
it's gonna depend
so
what's
I feel
important
like,
to you.
yeah, like they're gonna have to change as well because the world's going in a different. They can't keep up with the capacity of good music and good art being made. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So this industry
Hmm.
thinks that it's such a heavyweight, but trust me, when you hear like 50 records versus one of their records that are just the stupidest thing you've ever heard, it's going to show and prove where the industry's going, and it's just a matter about accepting it. And I think that if Nikki or if Carrie Hilson wanted to play an indie game, she would like she would need a little bit more grit within whoever's around the team to like really make that shit compared to like the industry level media beast that it and coverage wise it can give you, because
Can
it's
you come
all
out
about
of it?
coverage, right? Because they want to see you on that Fader article, they want to see you here and there to see like, oh yeah, yeah, I fuck with that guy, you know what I mean? Like,
But
but
can you
like
come
once
out of
they take
that?
you
Like,
out of it,
you, if you didn't play the game well, or you messed up, is there a way? Who do you? I'm trying not to cuss because YouTube, but like, who do you butt kiss? How do you get back at
your accountants, and your lawyers. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And
okay?
go and get your money. Like, do you want
Get
fame or
money.
you want dough?
These
And
people want fame though. You know they want the
A lot of
recognition,
people are petty and they want fame and they don't want to admit it.
mhm.
the
Do you
recognition.
want money or do you want to get known? Like,
But I,
period. Because you
But
I
can
can I?
feel
I,
still
I
get
would like to
paid.
offer
one
one
If I
point.
thing.
was if I was a Carrie Hilson situation with social media now to monetize, which she probably is. I'm not even saying it's like we
Mm,
think that she requires it. Maybe homegirl's chilling. Like,
mm,
she doesn't look like she has a bad life either.
I
Uh,
would like to offer. You know what? Go ahead, Clarence, because I need to flesh out my point more.
no, I feel like at the end of the day, you come in the industry with morals and you get deeper and deeper. The more deeper you go in there, the less moral you got.
Hmm.
Uh, um, at one point, one way or another, you have to play
You're
the
gonna
game.
sell out.
You well, I don't want to say sell out, but you just need to. I feel like you need to know your worth, and
Yeah, well, you gotta be
especially
well
now.
centered.
Yeah, especially
You gotta
now,
have a
like
good team too.
there's too many outlets out there for you to educate yourself, and now you can pretty much do everything on your own. You can build your own team. You don't have to depend on someone or whatever. Because before it was like, okay, look, man, you ain't going nowhere. Now you
Yeah,
sign
you
that
needed
contract and
you
it's a
needed
wrap.
label. Yeah, you
Yeah,
needed the big
you
players.
don't. You,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's not even just for the music industry. Even like in the movie,
right.
Hollywood or whatever. Now that's how it is. But
Hollywood's still a little more closed because I mean, yeah,
yeah.
you can make an indie film and go big, but it's much more rare than dropping a song on your Mixcloud, or I mean SoundCloud, and like blowing up. But one
Mm,
thing I did want to say in terms of recognition, the thing about human nature is we all crave some type of gratification. and whatever we do. So if you're in the music industry, eventually, yeah, you can make music for yourself. You can make people music for your 10, 15, 20, 100 fans.
Mm.
Eventually, you're going to plateau, and you want to feel, people want to feel that they're doing something worthwhile. And when they're not getting gratification, they're going to do what it takes to get to that feeling. It's like taking drugs, it's like a high. So, you smoke, I just watched Snowfall, guys, don't judge me. You smoke crack for the first time, and it's like, whoo, best feeling in the world. But then after, it's like, okay, like how many more how can I chase that feeling again? It's like the first time the 100 fans are like giving you everything you need. And at some point, it's like 100 doesn't give you the feeling you need no more.
Well, you gotta go back to what are
There's
you
no
doing this
plateau though.
for? You know what I mean? What are you doing this for? Like, what are the reasons behind it? Like, why are you so like? Why are you beating a dead horse? You know what I mean? Like,
But
you gotta
there's
ask yourself this question, because if the act of what you're doing is still very, I don't know, has some sort of poetic justice to it, like it still feels kosher, like you should be doing it, do it.
Yeah.
If not, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Switch gears.
some
Yeah.
people can die on the road, it's been done. Like, some people would love to die on the road, just like doing shows. It's a way of life. It's your instrumental relationship to your craft, I would hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily agree with what just Nikki said, because there's a plateau. If you said to yourself like, okay, I reach a plateau, there's no plateau now. It just the thing is like it's about innovation. Like, what's next? What you're gonna do to push you to the next level? You don't. Maybe it's regarding like on the creative side, or the way that you hustle,
But
your
that's exactly
your
what I'm saying.
business. But like,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
there's
You
no.
have to, you get to a point where you have to switch something up, whether it's, reinventing the way you approach the art, whether it's, figuring out how to reach more people. Eventually you become, nobody wants to remain stagnant. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So
No,
Yeah,
for sure. I feel like there are those two people in life. The guy that's like gonna like the alchemist that's just gonna stay in his lane and do his art for the rest of life. You can find him in the studio. He has this distributor, he has his
mm,
manager.
mm,
He's built his thing, tried, tested, and true.
and he's
So
just
it's
fine with
like,
that.
mm,
yo, you got to determine the value. Like, my shit is not content. I make high art. If you don't think my shit is Basquiat like on that level,
Right.
fine by you. But yo, I'm
Okay.
bold enough to tell you I make high art. I
It's
don't
what you
make no
believe.
content. Period. So it's like, for me, I don't even need to talk about that. What like Clarence said earlier, it's like, yo, the mantra should just be like, do dope shit. Like, just focus on being the best version of yourself possible. Everything else pans out. Like, if you love doing it, you should continue doing it.
Mhm.
Like, again, I used to feel like things were unattainable. You can call things to be, man. Like, by just aligning yourself with your thoughts, becoming your actions, slowly and surely, you have certain conversations that bring your name up again to certain a group of individuals that are known to do the same shit as you, and then eventually you got it. You don't need a whole lot. You just got to know how to scale it. I think that you can tap into anything, and I keep that always in mind when I try to connect the dots between
mm,
people, conversations, things I've done, to just kind of like tend to the garden, to understand what's possible on the horizon, where the value is, like
mm,
how we can like convert on this. And I never really consider myself to be successful or a failure, because I'm so obsessed with like continually playing the game. And I guess
Well, you're
I'm one of those.
successful. You're successful. Let me tell you that. And we, we admire everything that you do, because I mean, honestly, your professionalism shines through whenever you speak to people, and whenever you show up in a room, it's palpable, your energy. So that's
Thank you.
appreciated, and that's something that not everybody has. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the wind down segment. It is a short
Thank you for having me.
segment. Yo, It's a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. It's fam. Yo, it's fam for real.
Yo, for real. And I think, honestly, if we're going with a consensus, you have to play the game or not. Listen, if you guys been listening to us, it's basically depends on your goals. Depends on what you want out of life. You might have to play it. You might not have to.
Yo, get a good coach. Study the game. Make sure you got your ankle's not wonky. Make sure you got your conditioning, and then step on the court.
Let's
You
go.
know what I mean? But you're also allowed to step on the court just to have some fun. No one's saying take this too seriously. I feel like it's like half the sentiment is like absolutely relaxed. Don't take yourself seriously. It's gonna be okay. And the other one is like, let's go as hard as we possibly can. You know what I mean?
Yo, get ready so you ain't stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. That's what it is.
Exactly. That's it.
Go with the flow and pull the trigger. That's it. Don't overthink it.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us to Wind Down. Don't forget you can listen to full episodes. The link is in the description. Come wind down with us every Friday after you've listened to Breakdown to Lowdown. Breakdown to number 2. Lowdown, you can figure out how to follow our guests. All the information is in the description. Element, do you want to let them know how to find you?
ELMNT on Google. L.wave WAV on Instagram.
He said Google me.
Google me. They can actually at me.
All right, guys. All right. So thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week.